Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Daredevil Born Again has the perfect opportunity to introduce one missing Marvel villain who Daredevil first set up 10 years ago and planned to feature in the original series more than once. Folding Daredevil's world properly into the MCU timeline has led a range of exciting figures to become a part of the franchise, with Daredevil Born Again's cast bringing even more characters to the forefront by including the likes of Muse and Ben Ulrich's niece BB in its story. With that said, though, the MCU show also has the potential to bring many more characters into the world in a way that benefits both it and the wider universe. In fact, there is more than one character the original Daredevil show had plans to include, but who were unable to feature in the actual run of the Netflix Defenders show. Even in the case of a figure the story had looked at making a part of the world and narrative from its first season. Mercifully, Daredevil Born Again's own release offers the perfect way to fix this a decade down the line, especially given the way its story ties into the previous narrative threads of Daredevil and its unused plans that have now ultimately become reality years later thanks to the directions Born Again has taken. Daredevil Season 1 showrunner Stephen Decknight discussed the run of the original Netflix series with Season 3 showrunner Eric Olson in 2020's #SaveDaredevilCon event, with the two delving into much about the show's story and providing some added behind-the-scenes context to the installment. Interestingly, both Decknight and Olson described having plans to bring the Marvel villain, the Owl, into Daredevil, albeit at very different stages in the original series narrative. Decknight first mentions that he had seen a question about Leland Owlsley's son in Season 1, explaining that we were setting up. The Owl from the comics was going to be Leland Owlsley's son, who was out for revenge for what happened to his father. This makes sense based on the events of Season 1, as Leland Owlsley is a notable ally of Kingpin before it's revealed that he and Madame Gao conspired to kill Wilson Fisk's partner Vanessa to make him focus on his criminal empire again, leading Fisk to throw Leland down an elevator shaft to his death. Given Daredevil made sure to display the ramifications of many of the big events in the series, like Bullseye turning on Kingpin because he discovered Fisk had killed the woman he was obsessed with, having Owlsley's son return with vengeance on his mind would have definitely fit into the show. Similarly, this version of the Owl could have worked as a foe for both Daredevil and Kingpin, making him a fascinating potential addition to the cast. Season 3 showrunner Eric Olson also had intentions to bring Leland's son into the cast, but these plans ultimately would never come to fruition. After Stephen Decknight's explanation of how Daredevil Season 1 was made to set up Leland Owlsley's son debuting as the Owl later on, Season 3 showrunner Eric Olson described the later plans for the character, stating that, "I was building on that in Season 4. Owlsley was going to be one of the key figures in that season as well." These plans would bring both Marvel villain Typhoid Mary and the Owl into the story, delaying Bullseye's return until Season 5, so that his recovery time from the major surgery he underwent could be factored into the show's timeline. However, Daredevil ended up finishing with Season 3, with the story threads set up here only now being properly followed up on thanks to the release of Daredevil Born Again, which serves as a successor of sorts to the original series, and thus has the ability to answer several lingering questions and cliffhangers. Until then, as Olson alludes to, any ideas for stories further than Season 3 were essentially scuppered, as while some solid plans had emerged for future chapters of Daredevil, the show's cancellation meant following up on concepts like the Owl's Season 4 debut was impossible. Daredevil Born Again has brought back a wide range of characters from the original series that it was easy to think might never be seen again, and followed up on story threads that had been set up for seasons of Daredevil that never came to pass. like showing Bullseye after the operation he undergoes at the end of Daredevil Season 3 following Kingpin breaking his spine. As such, it'd be entirely in line with the show's approach to acting as a sequel to the original Daredevil to introduce Owlsley's son into the mix. Given a key part of Kingpin's story in Born Again is the concept of his past as a criminal boss coming back to bite him in his mayoral efforts, and the show has also delved into the idea of Marvel's next generation through things like teases that Hector Ayala's niece may take up his hero mantle after he is murdered in Daredevil. Born Again Episode 3. It would seem thematically appropriate for Leland Owlsley's son to also enter the fray. This is particularly true given his appearance could help shift the balance of power in the show once more, and provide Kingpin with another unforeseen obstacle to his goals. With Daredevil, Born Again Season 2 already now filming, and plenty of hopes that the series can continue for at least a third season following that, based on the positive reception to Season 1 thus far. It also seems there could be plenty of room to look at exploring story avenues like this. Following stories like the villain origin story of Owlsley's son are especially interesting, since they can enhance the MCU show and retrospectively add further layers and meaning to the original series as well, without changing or retconning the events of the already massively successful original run. Though any future seasons of Daredevil, Born Again seem fairly set to focus on Daredevil and Kingpin's reignited and once again escalating rivalry, the original show was able to balance this effectively with a range of other heroes and villains, and Born Again already looks to follow in its footsteps based on its use of characters like Bullseye, Muse, and the Punisher. That said, whether the series will decide to finally use a storyline that was built up over the course of the entire original Daredevil's run is as of yet still unclear. As we've eagerly awaited the arrival of Daredevil, Born Again, there is an electric buzz in the Marvel community regarding how the much-anticipated series will weave its narrative. With the rich tapestry of characters from the comics at its disposal, one villain stands out as an almost perfect candidate for reintroduction into the MCU, the infamous Bullseye. Although Bullseye wasn't explicitly mentioned in the original Netflix series until its second season, many elements within the show's narrative subtly hinted at his presence long before he made his debut. With Born Again, this is the perfect opportunity to fully realize and expand upon the character's potential. Hints from Season 1. Though Daredevil Season 1 primarily focused on Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, as the main antagonist, it cleverly left room for the introduction of Bullseye, a character whose signature style and obsession with Daredevil made him one of the franchise's most formidable foes. The foundation for his character was laid through the exploration of Daredevil's psychological struggles, his dual identity, and the lingering threat that he faces in the shadows. From the very beginning, Daredevil sets up a world where every peripheral character contributes to a larger narrative. One of the prominent themes of the series is the examination of justice and morality, diving into how these concepts are manipulated by those who operate outside the law. Bullseye thrives on this chaos, often embodying a dark mirror of Daredevil. By planting seeds of uncertainty and danger into the lives of the other characters, especially through characters like Foggy Nelson and Karen Page, the series subtly teased the potential for Bullseye's arrival without ever confirming it. In significant scenes, as Matt Murdock fights against various adversaries, the thrill of his victory is tinged with the knowledge that there are forces in the shadows, ones that could strike at any moment. This atmosphere of impending doom creates the perfect backdrop for a character like Bullseye. By exploring themes of obsession, the series has already laid the groundwork for what could come when a true master villain finally takes center stage. An intriguing remix of the character. In many ways, Bullseye can be regarded as one of Marvel's most iconic villains precisely because of his unyielding and cold demeanor. His extraordinary accuracy allows him to turn any object into a lethal weapon, making him a constant threat not only to Daredevil but to everyone around him. This makes him a compelling antagonist for a series focusing on moral ambiguity, as his chaotic behavior often blurs the lines between hero and villain. Imagine Born Again taking a fresh approach to Bullseye's story, showcasing a sinister backstory that could align with the themes of redemption and the fall from grace, which are prevalent throughout the series. In the comics, Bullseye's origin as an assassin can be deeply explored, while also incorporating his psychological issues, providing a nuanced villain that stands on more than just mere villainy. This exploration of his psyche not only adds depth to the character, but allows viewers to see him as more than simply a sociopath. The implications of Bullseye's return. The reintroduction of Bullseye could act as the catalyst that propels the entire series forward. A confrontation born from a shattered past could elevate the stakes drastically for Matt Murdock. With the narrative interplay between man and villain, Born Again has the opportunity to illustrate how Bullseye could not only be a physical threat, but also an emotional and psychological one. By creating a character whose existence echoes the chaos in Matt's own life, the series can explore deeper themes of trauma, loss, and the search for meaning. By using Bullseye's ruthless precision and relentless pursuit of Daredevil, the show can dive into how trauma lingers and affects relationships. His unyielding desire to prove himself as superior to Daredevil could articulate the very idea of heroes and villains being interconnected in their struggles, leading to compelling narrative arcs that resonate with the audience. It invites the possibility of seeing Murdock's relationships with Foggy and Karen pushed to their limits, serving as an underlying threat that could lead to harrowing outcomes. A modern-day interpretation. In the landscape of today's superhero narratives, where dark themes and complex characters are celebrated, Bullseye fits seamlessly into the MCU's evolving tone. Following the events of the original Daredevil, the character could thrive in a new, modern interpretation that reshapes him for contemporary audiences. As society grapples with issues such as moral decay and ethics, Bullseye can become a reflection of the world around us, a chilling reminder of how easily one can lose their grip on sanity. Additionally, bringing Bullseye back into the spectrum of the Marvel Cinematic Universe opens the door for appearances by other characters tied to him. We could potentially see the return of characters like Elektra, who has had her own tumultuous relationship with both Daredevil and Bullseye, creating an intricate web of personal vendettas that could ignite both drama and action. Conclusion: a calling card for chaos. In conclusion, Daredevil. Born Again stands at the precipice of nostalgia and fresh storytelling. It offers the perfect canvas to explore one of the most tantalizing adversaries in Marvel history, Bullseye. The original Netflix series, in its quiet yet deliberate storytelling, laid the charming groundwork for such a dynamic character. With the right balance of psychodrama, superhero action, and emotional stakes, Bullseye's introduction could resonate on many levels, serving not just as a villain, but as a harbinger of the chaos that haunts Matt Murdock's life. This combination of thematic depth, rich character exploration, and intense storytelling holds the promise of elevating Daredevil, Born Again, beyond the traditional superhero narrative. It could leave an indelible mark on the MCU, reinvigorating an iconic character while also paying homage to the legacy of the original show. In reviving Bullseye, Born Again has an opportunity to create a new chapter in a time-honored saga, enabling a confrontation that promises to be as mentally engaging as it is visually exhilarating.